this button. And we're going to click this button. All right, it is 4 o'clock. We are live. Cue the intro music. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Life at a Car Dealership Live. I'm your host, Ben. That is Brett. We are two unemployed used car managers coming to you from the great state of Michigan, where sales is shut down and service is slow. Broadcasting live to you from the COVID-19 top secret shelter-in-place bunker. Friends joining us from around the country. Super stoked to have the G-Man and Coach Jay joining alongside Brett. What's up, guys?
Hey, what's going on?
What's up?
So, so this is we're happy to have you guys here. So, JDI Coaching has been a member of Life at a Car Dealership for some time. They are a vendor. So again, this is a no pitch zone, but we're dedicated on the show here to providing real life answers during a tough time for all you people that are watching, and for us, right? Because Brett and I, we need some encouragement too. So we're like, who can we bring on, to get a little juice from? So these guys, they commented on our show yesterday and said, hey, well, come on, let's talk, let's go. So this group is pretty split right down the middle. It's like half sales and variable ops and like half service parts, fixed ops people. Mm-hmm. So Brett and I obviously are way more biased toward the variable ops side of things. So we figured that, having you guys on would give our fixed ops people, a chance to ask all of their questions because...
Yeah, we're on the other side. We're running.
We're definitely on the other side.
We've had a bunch of people asking for that, so I'm excited to have you guys here. Why don't you? Can you just maybe one of you give us kind of your basic nutshell story? Like how did you get started in the car business? How did you transition from whatever you did before into this JDI coaching gig?
So truth be told. I hated G-Man. I hated the G-Man. He was my parts manager. I was a service advisor.
Really?
And he was the parts manager. Oh yeah, he was an absolute, beep, beep, beep. And because he was a stickler about, I came from a background. I was on the East Coast working for a big private automotive group, probably one of the top Honda stores in the country at the time, if not the largest. And I was taught that, hey, you got to sell time. Sell the parts. Parts on a shelf are, if they're collecting dust, we're losing money. So sell it. So I was not a discount king, but if I had to get the job done, I got the job done. And then I ended up going to the West Coast, where I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, and the G-Man is the parts manager, and I'm trying to make some deals. I'm the new guy there in the ship. I don't have a lot of appointments, and so I got to get what I get to make a living. And so I started, any opportunity I had, I'd be like, hey, and customers like, well, I don't know if I could do that. And I'm like, hey, if I can get it done for you today at this price, could we get it done? They're like, yeah. And so I'd go to the parts department, and the back counter would say, all right, man, we'll help you this one time. Well, by the third time, it was, no, man, you're going to have to go talk to the G-Man.
All right.
Okay. And so the bad problem is, I don't know if you guys know about the dealership, the parts department and the parts manager's office is like in a dungeon,
always
10 stories down.
It always is. Ours is too.
It's like in a bat cave.
So is it at Brett's store, right? It's the dungeon back there. It's like a requisite thing. It goes along with being a parts manager. You have to have a hidey hole bunker of an office.
Yeah. I'm telling you that guy had the ultimate bunker. So after 6 doors walking through, hearing clicks because you can get through those doors, and people watching me, making sure I don't touch anything off of a shelf, which I never did. I go and I show up in the G-Man's office. I'm like, hey man, I need help. I need to get hook me up with a deal on this. I'm trying to sell this deal. Can you give me about 10% off? And the G-Man's answer was, no. And I was like, okay.
So was he the first person in your life to tell you to get strong? Was that the first time you'd heard? Is that what he told you? I'm guessing that's what he told you.
You know what? That's a good way to put it.
I like that. I like that. Get strong. That's what I told him. Go out and sell it. Come on, don't come back and tell me you need the discount.
That's exactly what he did. And so, boom, lo and behold, time later on in life, or a little while later, he became the fixed operations director. And I, at the store, was the number one service advisor in sales. And I learned my lesson. Still had a lot of animosity towards him because I thought he made my life a living hell. Long story short, we end up going to some event for the manufacturer we represented in Vegas for the conference they did, and we're sitting around and we got trashed off of whiskey. And next thing you know,
as happens
like, wow,
at every good automotive conference,
dude. It's just it is what it is. Like, sit down, let's start talking. Yeah,
I mean, there's a good chance that 2 out of the 4 of us are drunk right now, right?
Yes.
You guys will have to guess which 2 they are.
Just yet.
Tim Martell. Yeah. Tim Martell was on yesterday. He was drinking bourbon the whole time. Macallan 18. The good stuff, man. He busted out the good stuff for our show. So,
that's awesome,
so
man.
Gary, G-Man, you were the parts manager. When did you transition out of that, and how did you get? Tell us. I think there's a lot of people that are interested in hearing about the opportunities in not only the car business but also the vendor space, and just. I'm not trying to get people to jump ship necessarily, but I think that's an interesting point of inflection for people in their careers, and I think there's interesting things that come out of that time of change. Can you share some about that with us for you?
Yeah, well, just real quick, I can tell you, I started my career in the automotive business as a technician. I was 17, and to me, that was what I knew how to do. I knew how to work on cars, was good with my hands, and I figured this is going to be my life, and I'm going to be a tech. But quickly got interested in other things, and for a while I was a service advisor, shop foreman, service advisor, service manager, then parts manager, where I met my boy Coach Jay here, and then. After that, like, you reach at each point in my career in the car business, you reach a certain plateau where you feel like, where do I go next? Like when I was a foreman, I was like, do I need to wait for the service manager to like get hit by a bus to get that position? Because there are very few, and it's a very difficult move. And so it's like, where do you go? How do you ascend if you have that kind of hunger and passion? And so once I got to the end, I was a fixed operations director. And it was a question of whether do I want to go like to the variable side and become a GM, or what is the next move for me? And that's where I met Chris Collins, and I gave him a call. I'd known him for a while because he had consulted at our store a few times, and he said, hey, why don't you come work with me? Let's come down to LA, and I was living in San Francisco at the time. So come down here and let's do something fun. Let's have some fun with it. And that was my transition into the vendor space. That's when I moved from being, an employee at a dealership into somebody that now sells back into that space. And it's like everything, you always think, you look at the other seat on the bus and you think, that's probably fine. I think I could sit there. I could do that job. And then you get in that job and you're like, ooh, this isn't as easy as it seems in the beginning. And, being a vendor on the outside, trying to prove yourself in the automotive industry is a tough place to be. But we made it work for a lot of years, and then decided that it was time to go out on my own. And thought about Coach Jay because he was always one of my top guys, and I like the friction between us. I like the fact that we have a little bit of give and take, and that we don't take each other's ideas for granted, and we're not just yes men. We get to like bounce things off and debate, and so I thought it was a great way to start a business. So here we are now, the two of us out there slugging away on our own.
Yeah. So, and what kind of conversations have you guys been having recently with people? Because we see stuff posted every day about, we've got teams in the shop. They're 7 days on, they're 7 days off, or they're every other day, or there's just half of them are there and it's super slow. Like what kind of conversations are you having right now? Like what are the top concerns with the people that you're talking to?
So the one we were talking about this today, as a matter of fact, because there's an interesting thing that we're noticing because we have the ability to see across multiple franchises, multiple states. We're kind of watching this thing unfold from an interesting seat. And we're watching people make moves in anticipation of change and then looking at their results as a result of their decisions, right? They're getting a certain result in their business because of the decisions that they're making. And then watching other people who are taking a different approach, and then being able to look at all this data across this and try to figure out like what is really happening out there in the marketplace. So we've got on one side, we've got a guy who literally didn't change his shifts and didn't do anything. And he's really just taking it day by day. If it's slow, he sends people home. If it's busy, then they stay and they work. And he is, his results have been pretty strong. He's about 70 to 80% of normal. And then we got another guy who said, well, we're just going to cut and run and cut everybody down to about 50%. And as a result, his results are 50% of normal. And so it's, I know it's slow out there, and I know it's touch and go. But I've been in this business 35 years, having done that for this amount of time. I've been through feast and famine many times over my career. And I think you have to be there when the work's there. And if you're splitting shifts, then you're cutting yourself, you're cutting your opportunity if that opportunity does land.
So what happens? What happens to the guy who
having.
stays open, even when it's slow? He's got all the people there. What happens to that guy when one of his techs goes down with the virus and then they have to close? You think he's still better off just practicing safe work environment, doing the best you can, and just continuing on that path?
Well, so that's the risk, right?
Now this is a don't sue me, bro zone. Okay, so anything that anybody watching here is gonna, right? This is all opinion. It is not fact. You should not take this as news or advice or anything. This is an entertainment based expression of opinion. So don't sue me, bro.
Right.
Okay, so with that in place,
hold on. Let's protect this too. Hold on 1 second.
So
let's protect this too.
Go ahead,
Yes.
man.
Hold on. Let's protect this too, bro. We vendors or not or whatever. This is a safe place and a safe space where we're just talking.
Yeah.
Same thing goes for us. Don't sue us either.
Right.
We're just
so that
we're
being
just there.
right. So that being said, what's the answer to the question?
You want to take it, or you want me to take it?
Oh, take it, bro. You've been on it.
So here's the thing. I think it's a balance. I definitely think worker safety, you want to keep your business open. We had a dealership that we know, some friends of ours, and that's exactly what happened to them. They got tested, they went down, and they took a bet and they lost it. So you definitely have to balance it. We talked to, a couple of different owners. They each have different philosophies. We talked to an owner of a big group. She cut her staff primarily because she doesn't want to put her people in harm's way, regardless of the opportunity that's out there. But they also have the capital to make that happen. Whereas another dealer friend of ours, he doesn't, and he needs to generate that revenue to keep the doors open. So it's a weird time. And I don't know, we were saying before, I don't know if there's a right answer. I'm not saying my opinion's correct, but the one thing I have seen is that people who are staying open and keeping a relatively full staff, not a completely full, but relatively full, do seem to be getting more results than those that have cut their staff or have moved to a split shift.
Yeah.
That's what we've been seeing. And that's what the data is telling us.
That's your observation. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to follow up with Matthew real quick. You want to catch us up on some comments here, Brett?
Yeah, we got some comments. Just want to say what's up, Nathan. He's from Louisiana. He's checking in.
What's up, bud?
Nice.
Yeah. Matthew's been on our show a couple of times. He had a sale he was working on, and it was wasn't it the?
I think it was a $400 a month bad credit.
Looks like he got the
7,200 upside down, I think, right?
Yeah. Husband traded in their vehicle $1,500, and they came up with a little cash. Bumped the payment from $400 and $465. Sounds like he got an approval and got everything done.
Well done, Matthew.
Nice job.
Touching on the drinking subject, looks like Matthew's gonna have some rum chata, rope your floats tonight after the dealership closes.
Also, I think Billy's been drinking.
Yeah, Billy gets the two guys in black are the ones that are drunk right now.
Yeah.
The two guys in black.
The two guys.
And then shout out to Christian. This is kind of cool. He's a Finnish. So from Finland, he's a parts salesman. So he's definitely drunk right now, he says, and it's midnight there. So
are you Finnish from Finland?
Yeah,
this dude's repping.
That's the only place that it could be midnight right now.
Independent parts in Finland. This is the power of Facebook Live. I love this. This is why I love this group.
International. Global.
Hey, yeah, man. Christian, hey, go get us like 20, 30, 100 more members from Finland. Go add all your car dealership friends and your parts friends and your service friends. Let's get a following in Finland. I think that's super cool.
We could be rock stars in Finland.
What language do they speak in Finland?
Right. Just a reminder for everybody, this is comment driven. We have JDI Coaching, who is a vendor in the fixed ops world. So if you have any questions for them, any concerns about the coronavirus, or you think you just have a question for them, shoot them in the comments. We'll read them off. They're here to answer those questions. Looks like Kristen already has a question for you guys.
So let's frame Kristen's question, and now I'm the one that's drinking. Jeez. Ugh. Let's frame Kristen's question in a fixed ops light. You guys have the comments up. Can you read them? So it's okay. It's okay. So she's asking this from a sales perspective, but let's ask Brett. You want to flip it around to a fixed ops perspective? So it'd be an advisor, right? A laid off advisor.
So what are your thoughts on the dealership laying you off, telling you to collect unemployment, yet continue to reach out to customers and schedule appointments if you get them to come in for service? Fair to the sales advisor or the sales manager or the technician? Is it fair to the person who's laid off and not able to work due to being in a different department? So say, let's flip it, sales is open and service is starting to lay people off. Is that poor management? She's asking for a friend.
She's asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend. I love it. I love it. So, I mean, I don't know in regards to the sales part of it, but when it comes to service, I give out advisor tips every once in a while, almost every day lately, on our Facebook page, JDI Coaching. And what I said is, when some of these individuals are on a split shift and they're at home, I told him, I said, look, you're still commission based. If you are collecting that unemployment or whatever it is, you still are on a commission. So what are they going to guarantee you when you are working? Because you got to work your butt off. So if you're going to get part of unemployment, which you are at home doing nothing, set up your time and your appointments for when you get back in there, you have something to work for, so that when you're back in your store, you got something working for you and prepared for you, so that you hit the ground running and you make up as much money as you can working there, than having to just be like twiddling your thumbs.
Yeah, and it's difficult to do for a sales consultant too, because I realize that a lot of people, like those at our store, if they're furloughed or laid off, they're not having access to their company email or their CRM system. So it's just whatever they have on a piece of note paper. And I think legally, now again, don't sue me, bro, but legally, I don't think that you can collect unemployment and continue to work.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think
you're
so
either
either.
unemployed or you're working.
That's the big concern right now for us in Michigan, is that Ben and I, we have work that we could be doing. I'm still getting emails on my phone, but I can't log into my work email on the computer. But I'm still having different departments that are open, asking me questions. Our service manager wants me to some used car recon, and legally I can't do that stuff, because if I'm working, then I can't collect my unemployment.
Yeah,
it's tough. A really tough point right now for a lot of people.
It's hard to go back to work when they do that to you, you know?
Right.
It's like if it's there and it's lean, it's hard to make that decision, because if you're making more money from the couch, you know, or you don't want to disrupt that flow of income if that's your only income, you know?
Yeah. And our dealership group was super awesome. When this happened, they paid us to not be there. They paid us 60% of our income. And we were hoping that we could come back in the next week or so, but our governor just extended it to April 30th. And they were like, hey guys, you're going to make $962 a week from unemployment, or we're going to pay you 60% of your income. And 90% of the cases, it was better to take the unemployment and go on furlough, because we'd be making more money.
Yeah.
All right. So to the 20 people that are watching right now, we got 3 more people. Hey, welcome you guys. Welcome to the 3 that just popped up. Okay. So we're talking fixed stops.
Big draw.
We got the experts from JDI Coaching on. Let us know what's going on in your store. What are you happy about? What are you not happy about? Okay. The phone line, this is anonymous. Okay. So if you want to, ask us a question, but you don't want to have your name attached to it, maybe you're unhappy with something that's happened at your dealership. Maybe you're worried about something. You can call us. You don't have to give us your name. Just as long as you don't go on like a profanity-laden, tirade here, I'll probably keep you on the line, because we want this to be real, right? We're unemployed. That's why we're doing this. These guys are working, but they're probably kind of slow. Brett and I are unemployed, so we're on here to talk to you guys. And the rest of you, look, we just ticked up. If you see, we start talking about unemployment, and we start getting a viewership here. So what are you?
You start trending.
What do you
got? Another question from Olivia for Gary and Coach Jay, or G-Man and Coach Jay. I'm kind of direct this question towards service too, since you guys can kind of see all the different brands right now. She's curious that certain stores that are kind of a domestic or a lower brand, are they doing more business than the luxury models right now? As you know, a lot of the working class people are laid off and there's not a lot of stuff going on, to where, in my opinion, the people that can afford Benz or BMWs or Land Rovers, they're kind of the higher ups that have money. Are you seeing that, say, Mercedes is having a higher trend of service right now as opposed to a domestic brand?
Yeah, so for what we can tell so far is the domestic line and the imports, like let's say the Honda stores that we are associated with, and the Chevy stores that we're associated with. Just like the G-Man said earlier, depending on how they've structured their environment to bring awareness to their market, is depending on how busy they are. Now, they're busy. Like we have a superstore friend of ours in California, and when that thing hit out there, everything drastically dropped, and then all of a sudden last week it just went through the roof. And one of the things that G-Man and I have noticed throughout the country, talking to our service centers, is people are tired of being stuck at home, and they're trying to find an excuse to get out. I have my neighbor across the street has a Ford Escape, and when I talked to him this past weekend, he's like, "Hey, how's your business hurt?" I'm like, "Look, my business is hurting. I'm pretty much unemployed too because I'm not making any money. My clients put everything on hold, right? Because we're a vendor, so all vendors go on hold, right?" And so we're like, "Hey, I don't know." He's like, "Man, I'm telling you, I need to get an oil change, and I'm gonna go get an oil change, and I need one, and I'm probably gonna go this week sometime because I got to get out of here." And so I'm like, interesting. That's the mindset of my neighborhood. And so people want to go do business, same thing goes
back on that. Like I think that well, let's just say that the two busiest stores we have right now, one's a Honda store and then the other one's a Chevy store. So, and probably the slowest store we have right now is the Cadillac store, right?
Yeah, that is true.
And so
so
when it comes to highlighting, what we're seeing is, I think we're seeing a little bit of a dip off in the clients that we have, the people that we talk to, and the other brands, the imports and the domestics, seem to be pushing along pretty strong.
Very cool. So we got to jump in more viewers. We have about 30 to 35 jumping on.
Nice.
Give us some comments, y'all. Give us some comments. Yeah. This show's about you. We don't have a job. We need comments so we can talk about something. Go ahead, Brett.
We have JDI Coaching with us right now. We have the G-Man and Coach Jay. They are vendors in the fixed ops world. So if you have any questions to fixed ops, service, parts, they have experience in parts, service, BDC, or if you have your regular questions about sales, put them in the comments. We'll read them off and try to answer them the best we can.
Yeah, so one of the things that I guess we haven't talked about is what do we actually do? So one of the things we do is we're trainers. We're trainers, and we implement processes to really empower and educate the people so they can have a better life all around. We came from a background where I'll tell you what right now is when I started in the business, and I'm sure that you could associate to this too, Ben and Brett, is there was nothing for service back in the day when you needed to get training. It was literally you got Grant Cardone, or you have some other guy that was for sales, and all these sales training platforms that were available out there for the sales team, but there was really nothing for service. And that's where the G-Man and I looked at things and go, wow, man, this is a really small field. And it was my scariest moment to just go out there and be like, I felt like a cook who's never been a cook before, go into a kitchen and say, okay, go make chicken Gordon Bleu and figure it out. And we were like, dude, I don't know. I'm good with talking to people. That's all I know, and I didn't know anything else. But there's a technique, just like in sales, there's a technique to engage and build rapport. Ben, you said it yesterday, man. Both of you guys said it yesterday, is building rapport is critically important. And it's where you meet two individuals that understand each other, and then they go, hey, let's go this way. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I know there's not a lot of service specific training, and even in the sales world, there's a lot of kind of junk training out there. So anytime you can mix service, sales, rapport building, the way you try to upsell someone, I mean, it's kind of the same in service and sales. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I definitely do, and that's why one of the things that I always say I'm a huge proponent of and supporter of is make sure you have a very solid relationship with your sales team, with that variable team. You know, one of the things that made me successful, I'm going to do a shout out, is to this older gentleman back in the day when I worked in Atlanta, Georgia. His name was Guy, and he was the number one salesperson at the dealership I was at. And I'll tell you what, man, the frame and the setup he would tell to people would blow my mind. This is, I shit you not, excuse me. I tell you the truth when I tell you that story. He would tell customers, he goes, listen, this vehicle is a brand new vehicle, but just like machines, they're not always perfect. And some of them, I want to let you know, some of them have gremlins. And gremlins always, it's like a leprechaun with a big, huge, he'd say like gold coin pot. And they say, you want the gremlin to show up now instead of later, because now it's going to be covered under warranty. And I'd be like, okay. And I'll kid you not, there's a lady who bought a brand new convertible, and the lady calls him, he calls me and says, I have Miss So-and-so coming, and she has a check engine light coming on. She bought the car last Saturday, and it was like Thursday. I said, okay, bring her to me. She shows up and she's like, oh, Guy, I'm so glad this happened now. He set me up. And, you know, and it could have been a bad situation that turned from a horrible sales CSI situation where he had set it up and said, hey, this is going to happen. And when it does, I want to introduce you to my service department.
Yeah. So sorry, Ben, I'm kind of taking over.
Please roll. I'm just reading. You guys talk. Go for it, man.
I have a really great kind of sales and service combined question. This is my own. How important, or do you guys train on sales to service handoff at the delivery of a vehicle? So I know you touched on it a little bit on Guy, but do you guys train on that? Do you train salespeople how to properly give a service handoff when someone purchases a vehicle?
G-Man?
No.
Okay.
How come?
But
hey, maybe that's something you should look into, because
that's definitely something we're to look into.
We've seen in our store that every time somebody purchases a vehicle, the salesperson must take them down to service, and we actually have a document that they have to sign.
It's a pain in the butt.
Right. It's a pain in the butt. It's definitely helped.
It gets done,
it's
right?
Hugely important. I mean, if I, you know, with the stores that I was at, I always set up a process where it forced the salespeople to interact with the service department. And if I was working a store as a manager, that would be top of priority, because as the sales department's making new customers for us, I mean, the great thing about service versus sales is we're in a situation where you guys are out there making customers for us. We don't even have to go, we don't have to take ups. You're setting them up for us and then just shooting them off to the back. And so I want to encourage that. I want to make sure that that's happening a lot. So in the stores that I've worked at, I've always set up really solid processes. The problem is in places where we'll go in as a vendor, you know, they're not as interested in that. And I think, you know, just talking about it right now, I think it's an important thing that we should bring up with them as we go through, because it is for the long-term health of the service department and the business. That handoff and that relationship is got to be smooth and solid. I agree with it 100%.
So it's like it's like when you get the new car customer, you're kind of going almost backwards for 3 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So you're planting that seed for way down the line, right? And then they start getting up into the 60,000 mile service and the 100,000 mile service, and then they're doing the expensive stuff, right? And that's where you've started that relationship early. So what would you say to an advisor who's like, just bring them to me when they're at 60,000?
I think that's short thinking.
Say that all
you
the time.
Want that customer. I'm handing you a customer. That's what I always tell my guys is, look, you're getting this opportunity to own this person for life and make that solid relationship, that commitment now. And the truth is, the good thing about the modern service department is we're starting to see customer pay revenue after 12 to 24 months. You know, there's certain things that have to be done, alignment, wheel balance. A lot of the high line cars too go through tires a little faster. And so I think you're shortchanging yourself if you're not looking further down the racetrack and trying to plan for that and creating those relationships now. I mean, you guys know not every car sale is going to be a home run, right? You gotta take them where you can get them.
For sure.
What are the upsell opportunities that are under 30,000 miles?
Well, just so you know, Ben, we don't like the word upsell.
All right. So I'm using the word upsell because that's a word that's been used here on the group a lot.
Yeah.
What do you call it?
We say what we say and what we teach is our responsibility is to empower and educate owners about the needs of the car. That's it. So we recommend, and it's not just us. I mean, tire manufacturers all together say, hey, you should maintain your tires. You should do tire rotations if you can, if it's not a staggered fit. Do an alignment every once a year, every 15,000 miles, and make sure that you're doing the things necessary to have the upkeep of the vehicle. And that means education. I think you were right. When you said, what do? You got to plant the seeds from the very beginning. One of the things that we struggle with a lot is service advisors who don't do a tire. They think it's dumb, but it's not dumb. It's education. Where if they see a brand new car coming in and they don't want to do a walk around and measure the tires and show the customer, the condition of the tires. They're like, the customer knows it's new. I'm like, yeah, even if they know it's new, look at the tire and show them, like, this is what a brand new tire looks like.
Yeah.
So when it wears down and I'm telling you need a tire 30, 45, 50,000 miles from now, you're going to be like, oh, I remember when you told me that the tires look brand new. That makes perfect sense.
Sure.
And so that's what you got to really do to impact people. And it's just creating that bond and relationship where it's like, I want to be the guy. One of the biggest complaints that advisors give and tell us all the time is like, oh, we always get turned down because they're saying, oh, I have my own mechanic. You know what people are telling you? Not that they have their own mechanic, that they don't trust you yet, that they don't know who you are.
Or they feel like they can get it done somewhere else for cheaper.
Exactly. So the thing is educate them, empower them, and make them feel comfortable, and let them know, look, my goal in this whole thing is for me to become your mechanic.
Yeah.
My goal is for you to, when you think I need car service, I need something going on with my car, boom, I'm calling Coach Jay. If I need a new car, boom, I'm calling Brett or I'm calling Ben. That's what the goal is.
Let's get on the buzzword here a second. Upsell, right? Because you said you don't like the word upsell. So for those of you that just hopped on here, we've got JDI Coaching. They're fixed ops experts. They're here to talk to us about all things fixed ops. I mean, but really we're talking about selling. I mean, because everybody's selling. Right. Okay, whether you're sales, service, or whatever. They don't like the word upsell. I think that's really wise, because the word upsell sort of implies that if I get the upsell, it's like I'm kind of getting one over on you, right? Like I'm kind of getting you to buy something that's not necessary. Like upsell and unnecessary, in my mind, kind of go together, right? And so now I'm in a situation as an advisor, as a salesperson, where I feel like I'm kind of schlepping. I feel like I'm shilling, something that isn't essential. And so then I feel like it's not in the best interest of my customer. I think it's really important, like super important, for anybody who's selling anything to kind of separate selling and the service that they provide, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it has a negative connotation, right? If it's like going to Amazon and you're buying something and then they're saying, hey, by the way, other people are buying this. And that's an upsell, something you don't necessarily need, but you're going to buy.
All right, you're checking out at Best Buy. You're buying a $20 little electronic item or something. You say, would you like the extended protection for an extra $3?
Right. That's an upsell. And I think what we're saying is these services are required or these services are recommended to maintain your vehicle properly, to extend your tire life, to help your fuel mileage, to just make it more enjoyable to drive. And or make it safe, let's just say, keep it on the road. When you start to look at things in those terms, I think it adds a little bit more importance to that advisor's job, because I do think, to your point, it cheapens it when you say upsell. Oh, why don't you go upsell that guy? Yeah. No, it's like, let him know what's needed on his car, communicate it in a proper way, and he'll buy it, right? That's our philosophy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it's definitely kind of the same philosophy as sales too. We talked about this yesterday. If somebody comes in for a $5,000 car and they could afford the payments on a $10,000 car, it's our job to show them the value of having that newer vehicle, the reliability, the price per mile, like Ben spoke yesterday. It's not really upselling the sales customer either when we're talking about selling vehicles. It's putting them in a better situation for the future. And that kind of sounds like the same thing you guys are saying.
Yeah, guiding them to the right purchase. It's not. Not an upsell. That's treating your clients the way they would want to be treated. That's what I would want.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So
go ahead. Catch us up from Finland, Brett. Christian's giving us some
How are we
hope
doing
here.
in Finland?
We're quite a ways behind. So the first one I want to talk about is Ryan Parker says, "Would someone give Seth Rogen a job?" So I'm thinking they're referring to Ben as Seth Rogen. So that's pretty funny to me.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Keith Jones has been waiting for someone to make the Seth Rogen connection for a while. Keith's been with us since the beginning. So thanks, Keith. Christian, this is the guy from Finland. His daily life has changed very little since the pandemic started. Business is slower for everyone, but our 8 people strong parts store is keeping everyone employed so far. People at the Toyota dealership tell me they can't get OEM parts though. Not sure if that's a Toyota specific issue. Is there anything?
Is that like some kind of a racist comment? It's like a Toyota. Is that like saying it's a Chinese virus, man? It's not a Japanese virus.
I'm wondering how the sales are in Toyota because
that was a joke. Don't sue me, bro. That was a joke. It's a human virus, you guys. That's a human virus. It just started in China. That's all.
There's still a lot of Americans that refuse to buy Toyota and Honda, especially kind of in Michigan. There's a lot of former veterans like my grandpa. I don't want to throw my grandpa under the bus, but he refuses to buy a Toyota or a Honda product. So Olivia, her cousin is a BMW tech, and he said the service department was popping right when the lockdown in our state was announced because people panicked and got their cars serviced, and now it's a ghost town. He says the sales department is a ghost town as well. You got any comments, Ben, that you saw?
No.
I saw one earlier that said, I wish that Dunkin' Donuts would stop upselling me. I was like, that was funny.
The Baker's dozen, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's go to the part of our show where we kind of we do a roundup of the top posts here. So let me get that part of the screen up here real quick. Let's see. Oh, where did I put it? I lost it.
Well, looks like we got a question from Kristen for G-Man and Coach Jay while you're doing that.
Go ahead.
What are your thoughts of a lot of service people complaints about customers coming in for oil changes and service when areas are on lockdown? Essential worker customers only, being negative about having work during this time when other places are yearning for customers and work. Do you think that attitude leads to bad customer service that the customer picks up on, and that's what turns the customer to have an attitude, which in turn the service people post complaints about the customer attitude? So that's super long, but I think it breaks down to have you had any service managers that you've talked to that have had their technicians that are still employed with their techs complaining about that they're non-essential?
I think one of the things that we've seen, and I hopefully this goes to your point, you can redirect me, but there is a lot of.
Let me introduce you for this emergency alert from the governor's office. The state of Michigan has extended the stay home, stay safe order until April 30. We already knew that. All right, moving on. Sorry, go ahead. Jeez, man, scared the crap out of me. I'm like, somebody's breaking into my house. They're at the door of the bunker. They found me. They're knocking it down. All right, continue. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I was just going to say that I think there's been some animosity. I know some dealers we've talked with have been taking some heat because they're open and their people are working. And I think it's important to communicate the message that, you're there. We're open. We're an essential business, so we're required to be open. We have employees that we're trying to keep supported, and they make their rent payment and car payment, etc. And we're trying to provide a service and try to do it in a way in which we're protecting the public. And that, I think, is the message you got to get out there, so you don't create any friction between you where you're working and at a job and then somebody else is staying home and they're saying we're putting people at risk, or we're out earning a paycheck when everybody else isn't. And that kind of, it starts a little bit of class warfare. But I think the thing is really it's just about caring for the public and your customer base.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that definitely hits her question, I think. We had Tim Martell. Tim was on our show yesterday. He has a question for the fixed op coaches. What do you see as the average fixed absorption percentage among the dealers you've worked with before and after working with them?
He wants to know how good you guys are.
That's a good question.
It's huge, Tim. It's way higher than it was.
We only bring the best guests up the show, like yourself.
This is yeah.
Just tell them 20%, and we'll call it good. 20% increase. That is. Sorry.
I'll tell you right now. Truth be told, the G-Man went back into the field a year and a half ago because he couldn't turn down an opportunity because he was tested for that. And one owner in a store said, "Look, man, I'm losing $500,000 a year. If you can get me back up to even, I'll pay you a junk load of money, and we'll see what you can do. Let's see if you got it." So the G-Man came in, and him and I had been in conversation the whole time because I was out on the field doing my own thing independently, but still helping stores. And so we were working and collaborating together the entire time, going, "All right, bro, let's test this. You test it. Let me know it is." And he turned that store around from losing $500,000 to making $250,000 in pure profit in 2019. And he did that in 18 months, G-Man?
Yeah, just about 18. No, 15
months. So, and then he says, "Okay, that's, you wanted me to do it. I'm out. I'm going back and doing my own thing." And that was the whole thing. And so the thing is it's about process. It's about impacting people. It's about, being and understanding and collaborating one unit. I mean, his people cried when he left, and he was telling them the whole time, "I'm leaving. I'm going to leave soon. I'm going to leave eventually." And people were like, "No, you can't leave us." And the thing is that we bring a process in place, and we make people accountable for what they're supposed to do. And so, yeah, I mean, do we look at fixed absorption? I have a store right now in the middle of America, a Honda store, that is at 107%. We have stores in the East Coast and up at the top that are above upper 90s or whatnot. I mean, we focus on fixed absorption, but more than anything else, it's about the net to gross, 30, 35, 40% net to gross. We have a buddy of ours we worked with closely up in Canada who's now made it to 60% net to gross. And when he joined us and worked with us together, he was at 7%.
All right. You got to stop with the numbers, man. I'm sorry. You got to. Hold on. G-Man, tell us what he just said. Just tell the simpletons. Tell him what he just said.
Make it better.
Just get no. This is a good. Yeah,
make it better.
So give me a 10-word description of fixed absorption. One of you guys.
Fixed absorption is it's the dealership's ability, or it's the service department's ability to cover the service and parts. You're out of words. Ability to cover the expenses for the entire store.
Okay, there you go. Right.
That's fixed.
So if you got your service department covering everything, then all the cars you sell are that's profit.
Pure profit.
And that's it. So service and parts can pick up all the expenses. So if you're at 100%, you can pay all the expenses, and then every car, then you can drop the price of your car if you want to sell it. You can move metal easy.
Thanks, Tim. Tim set this up. They know they're not supposed to pitch, Tim, and you're going to ask them that, and then I gotta keep them reined in here. So thanks for getting us fired up. That's all right. We love you guys.
Thanks, Tim. That's what we do. We just, fixed absorption's out there, but we just make things go up. So you want it to go up, just tell us what number. especially the invoice.
Yeah, for the record, we're not here for us or to pitch us. We were here for the drinks because we were happy hour started an hour early on the East Coast with this group.
I hear you guys drinking. I'm trying to be professional here. I got bourbon right next to me.
I'm not drinking. We did a late show earlier in the week. I got in trouble because the super secret COVID-19 shelter-in-place bunker is directly beneath the primary bedroom of the residence here, of the castle. I was about 7 beers in and told a story I shouldn't have told. There's a banging on the ceiling here. Anyway, maybe we'll invite you guys back on for a late show. We'll do another late show. We had a good time.
Get Tim for the late show too.
Right? Yeah, we'll get Tim on the late show. Tim can hang. He can hang. Okay, so
Tim has a follow up. I want to answer this one. Many GMs come from the front of the house we're not that. Yeah. So also you see, whoa, that moved fast. Many GMs come from front of the house. Very few. Holy cow! It disappeared on me.
Very few come from a fixed ops background. When you consider what's going on now, those with better absorption are probably in better shape right now. I think that's true anytime there's a downturn. Yeah. Anytime you're looking at a downturn in sales, the number that you want to be strong on is fixed absorption.
Yes, that's exactly what happened in 2009, right? When the housing bubble popped and dealers were closing left and right, and the ones with strong fixed were the ones that were making it through because that's where all your money was coming through, and that's what's happening now. Shoot, it's worse now. you got doors closed in the state of Missouri. It's the same thing. Everybody's closed. So
So and believe it or not, they don't call it fixed because the cars get fixed. That's not why it's called fixed ops, right?
Oh, yeah.
I thought that for a long time as a new salesman. They talk about fixed ops. I'm like, that makes sense. They fix the cars.
I learned
It's
as
fixed.
a salesperson that fixed ops meant that they go to lunch at the same time every day.
It's a fixed lunch break. That's the fixed
right.
op.
Everything's fixed.
Lunch is the operation and it's fixed. No, it's fixed because it doesn't change, right? The demand is not variable, right? You have a slight variation, but there's no emotional variation based on what the market is doing because people are still driving and cars are still braking and it's fixed. It's a lot more steady than sales. Sales is variable. Yeah. It's up and down, right? So yes, in a market that's volatile where everything's up and down, we would focus on fixed absorption. Let's make sure we're strong on that.
That's it.
Ben, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir. Go for it.
And I'm gonna talk representing our fixed ops people because we've all had a misunderstanding of certain things. So a lot of our, I guess, our side of the store has always like, the sales department is so easy because, people want to buy a car. People are happy all the time.
And the sales guys are like, the service advisors have it so easy because the customers just show up because they have to. They don't have to prospect or nothing.
It's a slam dunk.
Exactly. So I just wanted you to share that people on here who are no fixed ops, because I'm telling you, I invited a lot of our people to come on here, and I wanted to set the record straight. Selling cars is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And it's not like, hey, they just come in the door and slap the money and say, hey, I'll give you this amount of money for it. Give me the keys to the car, and I'm happy, and I'm happy go lucky, I'm gone. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think fixed ops selling is a lot more like I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but it's a lot more kind of gladiator style. Like, here's the problem, and here's what we got to do, and they're mad, and my job is to calm them down and tell them what they need, right? And in sales, it's a lot more fussy. It's more of an intellectual kind of fussiness that we have to figure out how to talk to people. And I mean, service advisors have to talk to people too, but it's just it seems like there's more variation in variable ops selling. Fixed ops is, I think it's a little more straightforward, but that doesn't mean it's any easier, right?
Yeah, I mean, it can be perceived as straightforward, yes, but I say sales all around is a dance. It's a dance with who you're talking to, negotiating with, whatever it is, right? It's all a dance. And the thing is you sometimes you have to take the lead and they want you to take the lead, and sometimes you have to give up a little bit and whatever. I just think that all around it's tough, and it's tough for both parts of the store. But it is sales. I think it's a dance. I mean, do you agree or disagree, G-Man?
I agree, and I think the one variable, or the one thing that makes it a little bit easier on our side is they need what we're selling. We just have to convince them that. I think on the other side, a car's a little bit more of an emotional purchase, and there's a little more of finesse to it. You're right. At the bare minimum, this is what your car needs. I can have it for you today. In there, you can do better if you dance better, but it is pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with sales, with selling cars. I mean, here's the car, there's the price. Do you want it or don't you? It's like, and that'll get you 5 or 6 or 7 deals a month. But we can't afford to. We can't afford to. Yeah, we can't afford to keep people that sell 5 cars. It costs too much.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, that's the one thing that we struggle with when we go into stores and we're talking about fixed operations, and that's a minimum standard. We go in and talk to general managers. I go, let me ask you a simple question. If I want to be a salesperson on your team, how many units do I have to sell? Oh, 8 to 10, at least 8 to 10. I go, okay, how much does your service advisor have to sell in order to have the job? Well, I don't know.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, well, if we're gonna cover fixed absorptions like Tim asked, there's going to have to be a minimum requirement like you have for your sales team, or else you're not going to make this place any money. I
can tell you, our guys know. Our fixed ops director knows down to the tech.
That's awesome.
I mean, profit per employee, right? Per technician, per advisor. Yep. We got all that on lockdown. Brett, what do you want to do? Keep me organized here.
Real quick before Ben jumps into, you're gonna do the post.
It's up to you, man. We can do that. So we're at 49 minutes here, so we could kind of just ride it out. We got 28 people. So for you new guys that are joining us, this is Life at a Car Dealership Live. Brett and I are unemployed. We're doing this for kicks. The guys at JDI Coaching have been gracious enough to donate some of their time. And so they're here to answer our questions, and we've been having a really great conversation about fixed operations and some of the similarities with variable operations and all the different things that are going on. So please chat in your question. Please call us if you would like to remain anonymous. Or so it's like the first day we did this, we got 5 phone calls, and then like the phone hasn't rang since then. Yesterday we got 1 or 2. But
the late night show we had like 4 phone calls.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to drink with us.
Yeah, so
Dude, I want to be on that late night show, man. Please, so let's send an invite. Let's go.
I think we should. We'll just fill up the Zoom board here behind me, and we'll just, and if anybody gets too rowdy, I can just go pink and.
You guys have any questions for JDI Coaching? We have about 10 to 15 to 20 minutes left of the show. Shoot your questions in for them. Looks like Tom had a question. What advice do you have for a new service manager?
Ooh, great question, Tom. Man. Go ahead, G-Man. I've been taking up all the space. You got to
Throw
talk.
that one at me. Well, I think right now is a really tough time. My best advice is you just keep a cool head.
Did you? So I have a new guy that single-handedly brought down the entire car business. I mean, 2 weeks after we hired this guy, the whole thing just went to. It's his fault. So you're the fixed ops equivalent of that. They hired you and the dealership shut down. That's got to feel terrible, man. It's your fault, by the way. What does this guy do? What does he do right now? He got set up on a pay plan based on current averages, right? And he got pitched all the potential of the underperformance, and if he can get him to this level, this is the kind of money he's going to make. And then all of a sudden, just crash and burn. What does this guy do right now?
I'd say, first of all, keep your head and keep your wits about you, because it's good. It's easy to get yourself into a rut, feeling down about your situation. But you got to keep your chin up, because your people are looking at you to lead them through. I think the second thing I would do is I would make sure I got a pulse of where my people are at, both the people that are at home and the people that are here working. I want to find out how they're feeling about things and try to make sure that they got their positive face on. And try to push through this thing, and as best as you can. I mean, the metrics right now are all over the place. It's hard to even really gauge whether a department or a service advisor is doing good or bad. The best you can do is just try to keep as tight a control on those things as you can. Maximize your profits with the opportunities that you have, and just see if you can ride this thing through for a few months until you can really get out in some open field and run.
Yeah, and I don't know what kind of store you're at. The first thing I do is get about a $10,000 a month guarantee locked in place with your dealer.
Yeah.
As the most essential employee in the dealership, I'd go ahead and get that locked down. And then once you got that on lockdown, then focus on the moment.
Yeah.
Every day, appreciate the things that happen right now, and maintain hope for the future.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, because it is going to come back. It's going to come roaring back. This is everybody says unprecedented. This is unprecedented, right? There's no real problem in the world aside from this virus. There's no real economic instability, and people will debate me on that, and that's fine. But as soon as that little virus thing is, that's all going to come back. So people are going to be ticked that they haven't been able to spend their money all this time, and they're going to get out and spend it like crazy. That's what I keep telling myself anway.
Well, Ben's right. Ben's right.
I think so many times over my life. I mean, 2009, I lived near Silicon Valley for the .com pop in 2000.
Spanish flu in 1920.
The Great Depression in 29. But the thing is, I'm telling you, every time it came down, everybody was like, "Oh, this is the end," and then it always comes back stronger. And you just got to keep your chin up. And somebody told me this a long time ago, early on in my career. They said it can't rain every day, so you just got to wait for the sun to come out and sun to shine, and then get moving. But in the meantime, you can't let it beat you down. You got to keep your chin up. That's the only way to get through this thing.
Yeah, and the only thing I would say is sharpen your axe right now, man.
Yeah.
Get connected with your people, sharpen your axe, educate yourself, get as much information out there as you can to really, because when it does come back, just like Ben said and Brett said, it's going to come as a huge wave, and you're going to have to prepare your people and say, it's coming, be prepared.
Yeah. Oh, and that's one of the reasons we're doing this show is, we want to give people a forum, to vent and talk about, problems and, worries and things and try to feel a little bit better, but also to take a few notes on some of this stuff. You know what I mean? Like we got some pro tips here going on. This is good information. This will be archived on the website, so you can refer back to it or share it around with people you want to. This is not a publicly available conversation, so this is all kind of family only. So you'll have to unlock the secret. Well, not the secret. You'll have to get a key to get into this conversation in the future.
Yeah, but is it okay if I let them know if they have any fixed ops questions? They can reach out to
for sure.
to G-Man.
Yeah. So real quick, we'll give you 1 minute to pitch. You're working for free right now. No. This is okay because I know you got. Tell us what you're doing for people right now. That's a good thing.
So right now, we're providing as much content as we can on our page, which is JDI Coaching, and we go live every day, just giving out tips and just trying to talk to the community. We're not doing it in this fashion, which we want to. Man, this is fantastic. But we're just providing all the content and news and information that we can to the public to let you know, hey, you're not alone. We know you're struggling. We know your things are happening, but we want to give you whatever we can. So when you do come back, like that new service manager that's saying, hey, what do I do? I'm a new service manager. Come join us, man. Just get the information. Ask us questions. Because right now I'm literally in lockdown in my house in Boston. The G-Man is in our studio and in our offices in Kansas City, and we're just like, hey, what else are we going to do? Let's get on here and let's all be Gary V's and let's provide content and talk to people.
Yeah, for sure. And then you guys do have a podcast, right, for the service people?
Yes. So we have a podcast called Hard Shop Life, where the G-Man and I talk about different topics pertaining to parts, service, technicians, advisors, the whole gauntlet. So
let me do a quick promo for us. So we have about 10 stores that we're working with right now, both in parts and service, just helping them with profitability and efficiency and systems. In our first day at a big dealer group, we walk into one of the shops and there's a literal fist fight between a service advisor and a technician.
That's awesome.
And it gets pretty interesting because it happens in a restroom, and I'm not gonna tell the rest of it. You gotta listen to the podcast because we spell the whole thing out. But it's some pretty funny stuff that in our first day on the job, and we're like, oh my God,
this is going to be fun. Yeah. And so
an interesting group.
So we end that day, and the first thing we're saying, like, bro, that's episode 1 of the podcast.
Yes.
The first day is episode 1, like fight. Like what happened? It was drama. It was great.
Funny stuff.
That's what dealership life is all about, man. I mean, that's why we call it dealership life. That's why people like this group. It's life at a car dealership. It's raw, unfiltered. It's, you're going to see the best of the best and the worst of the worst in our business. And that's why I love it so much, right? It's you got everybody here, man.
Yeah, this is awesome. Hey, I see one more question from Tim. Can we answer
so
that
Tim,
one?
I love that Tim, he knows the answer to every question he asks.
Oh, I know it. I bet.
Duh, of course, Tim, for the coaches with the current. So I'll ask the question. You guys can answer it. I'll give you one word to answer this question. For the coaches with the current downturn, would you recommend that parts managers devote some time to obsolescence and getting some dollars on returning obsolete inventory?
Yes.
Okay. One word answer. There we go. Thanks, Tim. Tim gives a lot of great advice too. We like him.
That was an easy one.
That was pretty easy.
Really smart.
Oh, and that's why they pay you the big bucks.
That's right.
All right. What do you want to do, Brett? Should we round it out with just review a couple of comments real quick? Of course, we're the top thing going on right now. What do y'all drive? Post pics. We got lots of cool pictures of what people drive. You guys.
Let's do that around the group real quick. What do you guys drive right now?
Oh, the G-Man. What do you drive, G-Man?
I have
a G-Wagon. A G-Wagon?
He's got a G-Wagon.
No way. That's my dream car.
Me too, bro. With a custom vanity plate. G-Man's WGN. G-Man's wagon.
Yeah. That would be dope.
Can
That
you guys
would be
hire
dope.
me to be part of the fixed ops vendor world?
Yeah, dude, let's do it. G-Man for the G.
No, what is it for real? Hold on. Can we guess? Can we guess?
Okay, guess.
All right,
Guess
give
what
me
I got.
give me a couple of warm-up questions. Is it a car, truck, or SUV?
Truck,
It is a truck. Is it a foreign or domestic brand?
domestic.
That was a trick question, bud. It's a Ford F-150. It has to be.
No,
Then it's a Chevy Silverado.
no.
Oh, then I don't like you.
You could have lied.
Oh my god.
Okay, ready? All right. I have a Jeep Gladiator.
Oh.
I bought a brand new Jeep Gladiator. It's lifted, 35. It's a Rubicon edition, bright red, fire engine red. It's pretty fun.
I wasn't even thinking of that as an option. So shame on me. Shame on me for thinking you drove a Ram. That's very cool.
Man.
Very cool car. So, hey, did you have to pay sticker price for that, or did you find a deal?
Well, I say I was working for a Dodge store, so I got a really, really good deal on it.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did you trade services for the vehicle?
Not
Yeah,
consultative.
running the
services.
service store makes it easy to put a bunch of accessories on it. So
There you
I
go.
got a cool truck for a really, really good price.
Well, what about you, Coach Jay? What do you drive?
Well, I don't do a lot of driving because I do a lot of flying, but I do have in my stable. When I got into this business, I started at a BMW store, and my dream car was to have an E39 M5. So I have a 2003 BMW M5 in pristine condition that I don't get to drive too often. Actually, it's in my brother-in-law's garage, all wrapped up, and he says he takes it out once in a while. One time he took it out and he calls me. He goes, "Do you know that your car could do 165?" And I'm like, "I knew that." I just-
How do you know that?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh man, yeah.
Bro, what do you guys think?
How about
Brett,
you guys?
What do you think Brett drives? Do you think he's a car, truck, or SUV guy? What do you think?
I'm going truck.
Nope, you're wrong. Guess again.
Ooh.
You got a 50-50 shot now, Jay.
Well, it's I guess it's a car.
It is a car. It's a
is a
sedan.
car.
It's a four-door sedan.
A sedan?
It's a domestic four-door sedan. Look at his face, man. Who does he remind you of?
Domestic.
And you'll know what car he drives.
Domestic four-door sedan. Is it newer or older?
It's 17.
17. I don't know, man.
He's got a Malibu.
No. But he does like to go, all right, all right, all right, when he rolls down the road.
I have a Lincoln MKZ.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I made fun
Yes,
of him,
I love
but it's
it.
a cool car.
That's
That's dope.
McConaughey. I forgot, yeah.
All right, all right.
I wasn't even thinking Lincoln. I didn't even have that in my
I
head.
know. Hey, Brett, do you like those selfie videos? You should do it like when you're driving and just be like, "Hey, I'm on the road." Right?
Being in the car actually makes you talk differently. Like you have a different voice when you're sitting in that car.
Mhm.
So for everybody that's out there, the Lincoln MKZ is a super awesome car, and it cost about the same price as a Fusion. It's like a poor man's cool car.
Dude, it looks like about 45 grand on wheels, but what did we get it from the auction for? Like 15?
I bought it from the auction for 17, and I bought it from the store for 5% over the auction.
Wow.
It's a great
That's a
cheater
good
car,
deal.
man. Great cheater car. So, and I have a demo, but I have two play cars. I have an 89 Mitsubishi Montero and I have a 77 Nova Crew Cab, which I got made fun of.
Wow,
Which I got
nice.
made fun of yesterday. It's not what you're thinking, but I like it.
Yeah.
It's a crew cab Nova.
It's super silly.
It's a four-door.
It looks like a strong wind would blow it over.
I like it. It makes me feel nice when I drive it.
Oh man, Olivia's knocking on us. She goes, "Yeah, they're all old man cars. We're old man cars." That's
The new
jeez.
grill on the Lincoln is money. The silver, all silver. It's awesome.
I like my Nova, man. It's got I'll see if I can pull up a picture for you guys real quick.
Dude, the Nova's dope.
It has a brown plaid interior. It's like gold exterior.
It's baby blue brown.
I'm not gonna be able to find a picture fast enough to make it worth it. It's a fun car. V8, loud, Hurst shifter. It's fun. Olivia's never seen someone under 30 drive a Lincoln. Brett's not
Well,
under.
now
Brett's not under 30. Are you under 30? You're under 30.
I'm 29. Yeah.
Yeah, you're the one. You're the only guy.
I don't
You're
like
the,
that
you're the one with the Lincoln.
Olivia's first guess was that I drove a Focus.
Hey, look at this. Here's a Lincoln right here. There's a Lincoln right there. Right there in the comments.
Oh my God,
I just
that's
can't
funny.
see that. Let's do like two more comments. Sales books, programs you recommend. Just finished Gap Selling and it's fantastic, says Marion. You guys have a favorite book from the last year?
Yeah, I do. I got a bunch, but I'll give you one of my favorites is a book called Pitch Anything by Oren Clough, I think is his name, but it's a great book. He talks about, he goes out and ties businesses with venture capital. And so he's the one that is in the middle pitching the deal to the guys with the money. So it's a pretty interesting book on how he organizes his pitch and sells it.
Coach Jay, you got any books you want to recommend? It's okay if you're not a reader.
Oh man, yeah, well, no, I'm a big. I mean, one of my huge favorite books is "To Sell Is Human" by Dan Pink. I think it's fantastic. Also, "Influence," man. "Influence" and "Persuasion" are two, monumental books that will definitely help you out. Yeah, Dan Pink says the new ABCs are selling as A, B, and C. You can figure it out.
Cool.
I recommend Crucial Conversations for anyone in the sales business.
I heard that's great.
It's an awesome book. I was actually a salesperson, and before they would let me become the manager, I had to finish the book and report to our GM on it. But that Crucial Conversations helps you with upset customers. It helps you with your wife. It helps you with all relationships in life, and just basically tells you how to have a conversation with someone when they're angry or when you're angry, how to hold that conversation. So it's super awesome.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good book. I've read that one.
How about you, Ben? What's your favorite book?
Well, I don't have a favorite, but I'll recommend this one. There's one we did recently, Maxwell, Winning with People. It's a classic.
Oh, it's a great book.
It's a good one, right? So what I like about Maxwell is I just think he has a good worldview perspective that aligns well with, with kind of my worldview, and I think it's just solid truth in how to treat people, so how to be good to people. I think we don't spend enough time on that in our business, in business in general, in the world in general. But I mean, it's like I say this to my guys all the time. It's like, be good to the customers, be good to each other, represent yourself, our product, and this dealership well, and let's do good business, right?
Yeah,
it shouldn't be hard, right? So the guy, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say Maxwell's one of my favorite authors. I love.
Oh, yeah.
I've been listening to him. He's been doing Facebook Live a lot while this thing's been going on, the shelter in place. I've been listening to him. And one of the great things about him is he's really motivational because he used to be a pastor, preacher, and he just the way he comes at things just makes you feel good. I woke up when this first kind of was happening and in a little bit of a funk and just feeling like, now what are we going to do? How are we going to get moving? And I came down to my basement here, my dungeon, and popped him on. And I just after an hour listening to him, I felt better. So yeah. I can't recommend him enough. He's a great person to listen to, especially right now.
For me, Tony Robbins is my go-to guy when I'm feeling down. Right? I'll just punch in. I'll go on YouTube. Tony Robbins motivational. Tony Robbins how to get pumped. Tony Robbins how to have a tough conversation. Is whatever it is that pops up. Love it. I got notes all around from Tony Robbins.
He's a crazy guy, man.
He's a nut job. He's not afraid to dive right in and get it done.
No, a lot of these guys, when you meet them in person, they're not the same as when you hear them and you watch their persona. And I had a unique opportunity a few years ago to sit in a small setting and have dinner with Tony and have this group of business people fire questions at him. And I'm telling you, he is like, he might as well have been on stage. Like it's impressive.
He's the same in real life as he is on stage.
Yeah, absolutely. He's impressive to listen to for sure.
Cool. So this comment's been blown up. It's got 150 comments. Matthew, he commented today and yesterday, and he's a new member of the group, so welcome. So he's the guy that trained me in the car business. Was an old school way of thinking. He believed you should always make money on friends and family. Also believes that as long as you are not royally effing them over, As long as you are not royally effing them over, this is okay. Curious what the group's thoughts are. I personally have no problem writing a 5K deal on a friend or family member. It's like 5K total, 5K front and back. Like, for me, a good deal is in the mind of your customer. So if you can make that much money and your customer still thinks it's a good deal, even if it's your family, I think the amount of money we make on them has no bearing whatsoever on the deal that they get. So I think they should get a deal that is a little bit better than fair because they know you, right? And it drives me crazy when friends and family think they're going to get 10 or 15% off of a used car just because they're friends and family. It's like nobody gets that. Right? I'm sorry. I think that if they see value in doing business with you, then they should be willing to pay a fair price, and you should make sure that they get a little bit better than a fair price. But the advice I'll give you about family is the advice I give you about any customer. I mean, you should never screw over any customer. You guys have heard the expression that pigs get fed and hogs get slaughtered, right?
Right.
So yeah, you might have an opportunity to get really fat off of one customer, and then you're going to get your head cut off one of these days when they figure out what you did.
Yeah.
So I think anytime we take advantage of somebody who's in the ether, so to speak, in a way that's unfair or unethical, I'm not saying it's unethical to make money. I just think that, we should give all customers the respect they deserve, and that includes giving them a fair deal. And the way the universe exists, the sales universe exists, I mean, everybody gets a fair deal, right? It pretty much, with all the tools out there and all the information out there, it's pretty much impossible to really get that messed up on a car deal. At least on the price anyway. Now, if you get bad predatory financing terms, that's a whole nother story, but you don't control that in this scenario. So you're just talking about how much money you're making on somebody.
I just want to touch on what Ben said to anybody that's still watching, or Matthew, you're here. A fair deal in the eyes of the customer.
Yeah,
so if you
100%.
can why they're paying that price, what you've done to the vehicle, and that they are getting a fair deal, then if it's $10,000 or if it's $1,000, as long as they're getting a fair deal in their eye, I think that's definitely worth it.
We had a Ford Fusion one time that had about 3,000 miles on it, and we sold it for $3,000 over book. So book, they take kind of a linear. So this is the cluster of cars. This is kind of the average price. They take it back to 3,000 miles. I did that in reverse. I realized they take it back to 3,000 miles, and the price that we were asking was a lot higher than what that price would have been. But we kind of broke it down as miles per dollar that were on the vehicle, and determined that this car was a really good deal. The customer was like, "That makes sense to me." And they felt good about it, so we sold the car. We made $2 or $3 grand on that deal. That's fine, but the customer decides what's a good deal, I guess. So if your family member thinks they're getting an okay deal and you're making $5 grand on them, then great. Won't happen every time that way, but you guys want to chime in on that one at all?
I agree with that 100%. I think it's, if you're talking about the gross margin on it's different if you're talking about a Demon versus just a regular Dodge Charger, right? It just depends on the deal, and
the market
if they're
determines
happy with
the
what
deal.
they're paying for the car, then I think the deal's right.
Anybody ever used any of these advanced closing tools? I've debated whether or not to take this one down. We don't support violence or anything in the group, but I think we can all recognize this is a joke.
One thing I do question you guys, just to get your perspective, is a lot of times I've experienced where, when I was managing my stores and whatnot, there would be the biggest fear from my employees where they'd be like, I want to go buy this new car, but I think I'm not going to get a good deal because I know they give cars away to the public, but to us, I know they're going to make top dollar on it. And I used to always struggle with that, where that was that misconception, where employees said like, oh yeah, well, the employee deal is not as good as the guy walking out the street in through the doors. He's going to get a better deal every single time. Like, I don't want to buy that. And then they had always expressed their concern going, and now I'm stuck because I know I'm not going to get a good deal as the guy walking off the street, but then I can't go buy something else because then I jeopardize my job.
Yeah, that's kind of how we are at the Ford dealership. I know Chevy's just a little bit different. But for us at D-Plan, we have to sell things at D-Plan. So it's a special pin that you get. And 99% of the time, the guy off the street's not going to get that D-Plan price. we try to take care of our customers. I know Chevy's a little different. Like,
Well,
I've gotten
employee price on a new car is different. I think you're talking about a used car, right?
Yeah, maybe a used car or a new car. I mean, I'm looking at any of them. Whatever's in your inventory. I guess it does vary for you guys, right? Like depending if it's a new car or a used car.
Well,
Now,
new cars are easy. There's a program price on a new car, so
right.
That's right.
That's what it is, right?
That's easy.
But how about on a used car?
What Brett, on a used car? What is it?
we set very specific terms to our employees. And Kristen asked a question about finance, so I'm going to cover both of them as well. So if for us or for employees, it's 5% over cost. Or if the vehicle's marked below that, you get it for that selling price as well. So we put that in place that usually most of our cars are marked up more than 5%. So they're still getting a good deal. And then for finance, she was talking about how family members, salespeople's family members, she's bringing them in, or they're bringing them into her office, and they're trying to give away all of her products for free. As a store, we also set a plan that finance products are 10% marked up no matter what, no matter who you are. So both of those, we kind of set a plan in place so our employees feel like they're getting a fair deal as well, and that no one's really getting taken advantage of that works for the dealership.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you for that. And I want to just add one thing. These days, the price that's on the internet is the fair deal. It pretty much is. At 90% of dealerships, the price that's on the internet is a fair price. So anything less than that is a good deal, even if it's $200 or $300. And yeah, maybe you could get another $200 or $300 off if you went and played customer at another store. But part of the advantage of buying from a store where you know everybody and have a relationship with everybody is that you can just deal with it right there if there's ever a problem or a question or anything. I mean, so you're going to get the best service from your dealership. And if your dealership isn't treating you that way, well, shame on them. I don't know what to tell you. There's some dealerships that don't treat their employees well. They should. I mean, all business owners should treat their employees well.
Right. We can all agree on that one.
So, okay, so let's assume it's a tough situation where you're at a dealership where they don't treat you well as far as sales go, and you're afraid that if you go buy somewhere else, you're going to lose the deal or you're going to lose your job, right? Because you bought somewhere else. What do? Again, don't sue me, bro. I can't. I don't know that I can give you the right answer. They don't have to know that you bought a new car, I guess. Is it the wife's car? Is it ever going to come in? Is it ever going to come in? Is it ever going to get noticed? Is it your car? I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why. I mean, I bought a car not from us one time because my wife wanted a minivan. I bought a minivan for her from a Chrysler store. Yeah, I bought a new car not from us because she wanted a minivan. So I bought a minivan. I still am employed. Well, not anymore.
It's Barney Purple also.
The perfect purple Pacifica. Say that 10 times fast. That was a great van, man. It's a great van. What do you think, Brett?
Final words, guys, from you. Anything else you want to say one more time?
Yeah. Thankful to be here, man. You guys are awesome. I'd love to do this again. Late night or not, I think This is good to give perspective. I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm learning a lot, and I know that, our audience members, and members on here that on Fixed Ops are getting a better understanding on how we can both collaborate and work and understand each other. Because when this comes back, like Ben and you, Brett, too, talking about it, when it comes back, we have to be stronger as one all around so we can get this thing going, right? We're going to have to support each other. It's going to be crazy. I hope that, for sales, Saturdays is a huge day or I would assume, right? I'm thinking, and so we got to be prepared that every day when we return is going to be a Saturday. It's going to be like, holy cow, dude, I got to get this car done. I need to get the detail. I need to, I need you to do this, or, hey, can you check this? Can you do, and we really are going to have to work with each other to make sure that we take care of our communities, or else we're going to fail.
Yeah.
Because they're going to expect a lot from us.
Get ready. Let's go. Take the time for self-improvement. Connect with everybody in your circle. Connect with yourself. Be good to the people around you. Be good to yourself during this time. Don't get drunk and watch Netflix all day.
Right.
You're going to come out of this thing 25 pounds overweight and got to clear up for 30 days before you're ready to hit the ground running. Come out of this thing fresh, fit, and ready to roll. I'm down like 4 pounds, guys. Hard to tell, right? But I feel good.
That's less than 1% of your body weight.
Yeah, so my thanks, dude. My nipples here have a little less of a fold over than they used to. They used to, so I'm feeling good about that. What do you think, G-Man?
Take the wins where you can right now.
That's right, man. All right. Well, we'll connect with you guys after about talking more and things. So for now, I guess we'll wrap it up.
All right.
Yeah, we're good. This is awesome. It's been a pleasure, guys. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, super grateful to JDI Coaching for joining us today, giving us some free advice. This has been Live in Life at a Car Dealership with your hosts, Ben and Brett, two unemployed pre-owned sales managers in the great state of Michigan, where sales is closed and service is slow. Broadcasting to you live in the Facebook group, Life at a Car Dealership, from the COVID-19 super secret shelter in place bunker, the center of the sales intellectual knowledge universe, broadcasting from the platinum covered microphone straight to you and you alone. All right, that's it. We're out.